We have a prominent guest who will be joining us on this conversation. His name is Dr. Sunday Adelaja. I tell you, you want to listen to him with regards to the topic we are discussing today. In a moment, we'll be back. To stay with us. Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Now, today, our guest is Dr. Sunday Adelaja. He's a multifaceted thinker and a leader with a global perspective. He's a native of Nigeria, but is a worldwide and a global phenomenon. He is the founder and senior pastor of the Embassy of God Church in Kyiv, Ukraine, which he grew into one of Europe's largest evangelical churches, a prolific author of over 400 books, a philosopher and a motivational speaker. Dr. Adelaja has a unique background in journalism and a master's degree from Belarusian State University. He has spoken on transformation and leadership at various international platforms, including the United Nations and the National Parliament. His works and writings often focus on personal empowerment, leadership development, and societal transformation, making him a compelling voice to be reckoned with. Dr. Adelaja, you are welcome to Just Africa. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you so very much, Just Africa, for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you today. How are you all doing?
Oh, very great. Thank you. Much further ado, let's jump into the conversation. Now, you have written over 400 books, and maybe time will not afford us to talk about all the 400 books that you have written, but we'll make references to a few that you've spoken about. But before then, just like the way the topic says, we are rethinking reforms, going beyond the several election cycles that we depend on in Africa. When you heard that topic, what actually hit you?
The first thing that comes to mind about this topic is the fact that it's not so much spoken about right now in Nigeria. And I think it's much neglected because we are only talking about products. We are only talking about economic statistics and growth. But one major thing that we are leaving out is human capital development. In a situation when a country like ours, with 200 million people, we only have 60% of our population that is literate. Literate means knows how to read and write. But if we want to talk about the really educated part of our population, maybe it's less than 40%. So if we want to compete with the world, I mean, most countries that we are competing with, they have 90% literacy, 100% literacy, and 90% education, higher level education. And we are just at 40, 60%. You know, this is the number one priority. We must make sure that everybody in our country is educated, at least is literate. We must do an emergency program to make sure that everybody not just knows how to read and write, but knows what is going on about the nation and about global economy. We need to develop human capital development. We need to give skills to our people. We need to make our nation a skillful nation. Only then we could stand a chance to compete with European countries or North American countries.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, since you've started this conversation by making reference to human capital development, let's stay there for a while. When we talk about human capital development, it looks as if Nigeria is bailing the cat, even though when we define competition, we don't want to define competition in a way where we could seem to be jostling with our European counterpart or our Western counterpart because we cannot actually match up with the level of technology that's currently, available over there. What do you think we can capitalize on to enhance and broaden the scope of human capital development here in Nigeria and in the continent of Africa so that our productive level can move up?
We have several things that we could capitalize on. Number one, we can capitalize on the fact that we have a large number of youth. These youth, and most of them in the universities, as I understand, and as most people in Nigeria understand.
Okay.
In what we call 419, or thing is regarded in Nigeria as a crime and as something negative, but I don't see it that way. I will encourage the EFCC and the Nigerian president to stop seeing the youth as criminals, to stop treating them as people that we must get rid of. I think that we should look at the other side of the coin, which meaning that these people are doing what is illegitimate now. They are involved in crime, but let's mobilize them. Let's give them a kind of clemency and maybe even amnesty, and tell them that, hey, we know you are involved in this. We are not going to punish you. Come out straight. Come out and let's equip you. Instead of being involved in negative activities on the internet, let's equip you to have internet skills, to have ITC skills, to develop them and reorientate them in being specialists in computer and internet and technology. Right now, it is all about internet, ITC technology, IT. The whole world is under IT right now. Why don't we mobilize these, our young people that are hiding, that we are chasing, from day to night, but Monday to Friday, EFCC is chasing these people, helter skelter, and they are hiding. Let's just give them clemency and amnesty and tell them to come out in the open and equip them for productive activities rather than for the criminal activities that they are involved with right now.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Adelaja. Very beautiful area we're touching, human capital development. But we still have some impediments. One of which is a lack of funding in the education and health sector. Another one, which is also cropping up or has become a bone in our necks, is brain drain. A lot of people, because of lack of opportunities in Nigeria, a whole lot of them are leaving. I mean, there was a viral video of a particular man who came out, who was accused by a particular state government of running away after the government had sponsored his education in the health sector and all that, and he came out to debunk that. So we have brain drain. We also have lack of funding. I mean, if you look at the budget in education, it's nothing to write home compared to other sectors. How can we begin to, take care of this from the ground up?
Okay, those two things you mentioned are actually the areas where this new government is doing better than most other areas. Like, for example, you spoke about the area of health. The new Minister of Health that we have right now, and Nigeria must know and learn to celebrate their own heroes. This man is being celebrated on a global stage. Professor Pate is somebody that is one of the most intelligent, one of the most brilliant medical operators in the whole world. And even right now, he has already secured so much investment into Nigeria's health sector. He has secured up to $10 billion of commitment from international donors because he's so well connected. He used to head the World Health Organization in Geneva, but out of the 10 billion that he has secured, they have given 2 billion already to Nigeria, and this man is building 8,000 new primary health facilities all across Nigeria already. And Nigerian media is not talking enough about this. And by the time it's true, we will have an health center almost in every 1 kilometer or few kilometers walk or travel. So it's a good reformation that is going on in the health sector. Now, we don't have enough personnel, but right now, scholarship is going to be given and funding is going to be given to people who want to study health-related courses like medicine, nurses, and things like that to produce more health professionals. But that is on one hand. On the other hand, talking about education, that is another area where this government is doing a good job. I mean, we all know about the the scholarship and the opportunity for student loans that has been opened. Now, almost 1 million Nigerian youth have now applied for student loan to be able to study. I saw a video sometime from the northern part of Nigeria where students were celebrating and rejoicing and dancing into the music of the president and say that, no, this president, he must come back, because now they could study in school and get not just tuition fees, but also pocket money from the government. When I was growing up in Nigeria 40 years ago, there was no opportunity like that. That is actually the reason why I left Nigeria, because I had admission to the then University of Ife, but I couldn't pay the school fees, talk less of to sustain myself in the university. So I had to apply for a scholarship, and thank God, thanks to Nigerian government as well and the Russian government, I got a scholarship. That's why I left Nigeria. If there had been opportunity to get a loan from my own country, just like in America or even here in Europe, that's what people do. They get loan, and the fact that the government has been able to provide that, the better future is ahead of Nigeria. We shouldn't inch Nigeria to the past. We should begin to see the prospects of what is waiting for us with these new policies that are being rolled out by this government. And I think those two areas, things have started moving in the right direction.
All right, thank you very much. Another question I'd like to ask. Same on this program, we had a guest, an entrepreneur, who said while he was studying a program at the University of Lagos, he got a grant from the University of Lagos, the alumni of University of Lagos, to sponsor his work. He was an entrepreneur, and he got, I think, about ₦1 million. So by the time he even graduated, he was already empowered on his own. Do you think that these are one of the ways we can also take care of human capital development, by empowering some of our students right from the universities?
Yes, definitely. I'm going to come back to that question, but one of the questions that you had asked earlier, which I left out, was brain drain. The issue of brain drain. Now, brain drain is the fact that people refer to in Nigeria as Japa, that most people get education in Nigeria and then travel out because they want to survive. But it depends on the way you see that. I don't see that as something negative. If you look at America today, most of the names, the last names, surnames you see, are coming from Ireland. In fact, more Irish people are in Ireland, are in US than in Ireland itself as a nation. Why? Because most of them Japan there earlier when there was bad situation in Ireland. The same thing, you hear a lot of Germans there, you hear a lot of English people there, Scottish people there. Why? Because they all moved to Japan. But thanks to those people, that is the reason why their countries have also been developed. Right now, as we are talking, the second highest source of income for Nigeria is the diaspora funds. Over $20 billion are coming in to Nigeria every year, more than oil. More than oil, it only follows services. So it depends on the way we say it. I don't see the Japan syndrome as something negative. It is some other people also are moving to Nigeria. We have some Chinese moving to Nigeria, the Lebanese moving to Nigeria, Syrians moving to Nigeria. It's just the new world we are living in now. Is a global village. But we should work with our diaspora community and see them as our asset. And they could be sending more money to Nigeria, even more than the budget of Nigeria, if we worked with them very well. Now, concerning the issue that you have raised about supporting students in higher education. In advanced countries, there is something they call school or university or college endowment. And I would like to use this opportunity to talk to Nigerian philanthropists and rich people in Nigeria. And these endowments normally comes from the civil organization or from individuals, from philanthropists. It would be good to start that kind of practice in Nigeria so that every school will have some funds, endowments, some funds that are there, that are just there to develop the university. It is from that funds we see whenever the university sees any promising student or any research that's going on, the university itself, they don't need to go to the bank, they don't need to go to look for government. The university itself will have enough money, enough endowment to be able to sponsor each student. And I think that example from University of Lagos is a good one. But if the community, if our communities and our philanthropies and our social organizations, we begin to support each individual university to create an endowment foundation. And then, the problem of where to find job when people finish, or people who are talented not being able to find themselves in the society, will be a thing of the past.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Dr. Adelaja, whilst I was looking at your profile on the internet, you have one of the largest congregation in Europe, in Kyiv, Ukraine, to be special, to be particular. And it is written about you that you've actually built your church and the organization from the ground up. You are 58, you have written you have written 400 books. That's a lot of feat to attain at your age. And we'll also learn about you that you've brought in community development into your system. How can we replicate these systems that you have developed in the continent of Africa to look beyond the election, to galvanize and mobilize the Africans and adopt the same system and strategies for a collective development in our continent?
First of all, I personally plan to move back to Africa by the grace of God. I've been living here in Europe now for 40 years. And I think it's high time for me to give back to my continent and my country in particular. So all the experience that I've had here, I will have to come back to Nigeria to contribute to the economy. But one of the things that I want to contribute is the way we do church. Can you imagine this? My platform in Ukraine was not political. It was church. But from that church, we had 3,000 civil society organizations. And we had over 2,500 businesses that were transforming the country and the society. So that's the kind of concept I want to encourage religious organizations to get involved with. In the Bible, it says that there was nobody, not a single person who was in need of anything. People were not in need, not just in the congregation, but in the society, in the community where the church is. If we have a church in our communities and we still have so many needy people, it means the churches are focusing on the wrong things. And that's another topic. That's a topic for another day. But it's all about empowerment. We have been able to empower in our church. We were able to empower over 200 people that became millionaires in US dollars. The church is not supposed to be about collecting the offerings on tithes from people, but it's about empowering them to have enough first to feed themselves and their family, and only after that, when they see that they have been blessed, should they take something to the church. But to be taking something from poor people is heartbreaking to me. And it will not work in Europe. That's why white people don't go to African churches here. But by the grace of God, because of the concept of church that we brought to introduce to the society, our church is 99% white people. Because, white people, they cannot just go to a church where you are just talking nothing practical to show. I believe that our churches should be centers of reformation that will make sure that there are no needy people, no poor people in our society and our communities. And for that, people like me, we need to share with the church leaders and be able to encourage them to change their messages, their mindset, and their view on the way of practicing religion to make religion more beneficial to the society and to ordinary people.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, I like all the strategies that you've adopted in order to make sure that the way church is done over there in Europe, it's all in a new dimension, and would like to replicate that in the continent of Africa and in some countries. I know a few churches in Nigeria here that does the same thing, and I also want to think that there are a few churches in other African countries that do the same thing. But these strategies that you're talking about, how can we nationalize them? Because our conversation for today is focused on rethinking reforms. So how can we inculcate them into the scope of reform for the new destination that authorities like you will be thinking of taking, not only Nigeria, but other African countries too?
For example, the Bible says that God will bless the works of our hands. So one thing that I think the Minister of Trade and Industry and the Minister of Finance should focus on is in the fact in encouraging every individual that is doing anything at all to be productive and think about supplying whatever they produce to other countries. Even if you are producing akara, or or you are producing gari, think about packaging it in such a way that you could sell it outside and make foreign currency for yourself, for your family, and for your community. That is one thing we need. Nigeria economy is not doing bad. Actually, our economy, if not because of the exchange rate, we should be over 1 trillion economy right now. But because we don't have enough foreign money coming in, foreign currency coming in, our economy is localized too much. So we need to begin to encourage everybody that's doing anything. For example, if I were in the government, I would encourage the government, the entrepreneurs, and say, if you are selling abroad, we are going to give you a certain tax waive, or we are going to return some of your money to you, or we are going to support you with a lot of some loans, so that anything you do, target abroad, target even African countries, people that have similar culture like us. Can you imagine if even 10% of all entrepreneurs in Nigeria will target producing for the external market? It will bring down the rate of the dollar, and our money will not be costing 1,500. It will make it maybe be about 500. That way, our economy will be stronger and more foreign currency will be coming in. That is one concrete way. And even not only government should do this, even pastors. For example, if I pastor 100 people, I want to encourage them. What are you doing? What do you do? What do you do? Okay, let's now bring in professionals to teach you how to package, how to market, and how to standardize your product for it to be sold outside of this country. And we'll give them, can you imagine if 1,000 churches train their members to sell their product outside of Nigeria? That we are making the economy grow, and we are making our own standard of living better as well. This is just one little example.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Adelaja. I love where we're going now, productivity. So, if I may ask you, in your own expertise and knowledge, where should we be focusing if we want a productivity-driven growth?
Now, first of all, I think the biggest producers in Nigeria are big businessmen, and we shouldn't deny this. If not for Dangote, our economy would have been much worse than what we have right now. But what happened with Dangote, if not for government, there would not be Dangote as well. I think Obasanjo played a big role in making Dangote who he is now. If I were in the position of President Chinua, I will put it as a target that between now and 2026 or 2027, in the next 2 years, we must make sure that we raise up at least 100 billionaires in US dollars. So how do we do that? Gather all the people who are already making maybe $100 million in revenue a year, and empower them, give them loan from the government, from the budget. Let's put 10% of our budget. Let's empower them. Let's produce another 10 or 50 Dangotes. If we could produce another 20 or 50 Dangotes, we will just go and relax about Nigeria economy. Those are heavyweights. They alone will conquer not just Africa, but the world. Now, Dangote alone has been able to conquer the cement world in Africa. He has been able to conquer the oil, fertilizer world. They have been able to conquer the refinery world. Now he wants to conquer the deep sea and make it the biggest in the country or in the continent even. Can you imagine that we have 100 other individuals doing the same thing? And the reason why they are not doing it is because they don't have the capacity. Now, can you imagine the government partnering with people like Elumelu, people like other people that are there, select 100 of them and get behind them to become the best in whatsoever they produce, so that whatever they produce, because this is what Japan did with all those Yamaha that we are hearing about, Honda and all those industries. Government partner with them, got behind them, gave them government money to use to build international industries. But if we could have 100 Nigerians and Nigerians are competitive, let them, each one of them take one subject, one area of expertise, and let us put the weight of Nigeria behind them. After that, Nigeria itself will be reaping from them. They will be working for Nigeria. There is a film in America they call The Men That Built America. These were men, there were about 10 of them. By the time they had the financial capacity, they built the railways, they built the banking industry, they built the America we know now. The whole country just followed them. We need those kind of heavyweights. And Dangote has shown us the way. But we need at least minimum 10 big people like him. But I will go for 100.
Dr. Adelaja, resurrecting 20 more Dangotes, Tony Elumelus and all that. But for the government to step forward and try to do this, there has to be an enabling environment. And one of the impediments to enabling environment, we have power, we have the FX stability, we have so many other factors that are impeding all this. So how can the government begin to raise other Dangotes if they cannot take care of these other impediments?
That is the problem of Nigeria, because we are waiting for government to do something for us. When you go to United States of America, tell me, or even Great Britain, even South Africa, tell me, is it the government that produces the electricity? No, they are entrepreneurs. This is what I'm saying. Let's raise one person who has passion for electricity and empower that person. Let them put their own money, 50% of their own money, 50% of government money. Let's just help them. They will fight for it like government is waiting for this minister, or they are corruption, they are stealing money, they are not effective. The most effective people are individuals that have interest in the thing, that have their own stake, their own money. That is their passion, that is their calling. They know that they want to bring that is their own area of calling, that's their own area of specialty. There is one Kogi man, a man that is a prince from Kogi State. Is an entrepreneur that is producing electricity for Mexico, for I think United States, for at least up to 20 countries, and he's from Nigeria. But someone like that who is already producing electricity for 20 countries in the world, we could bring him back and say, what do you need? We give you all the support. He will handle it and do a better job that the whole country has not been able to do in 40 years. We need individuals who will put their own money, their skills, their passion, their energy behind what they believe in. Just like Dangote. Nobody needs to encourage him. The government doesn't need to come and be telling him, are you making money here? Are you making... No, he himself is the one that is putting his own life down. We need somebody like that will handle our electricity. That the government is doing right now is just... It's just, it's the same thing like, MTNs, or what do you call them, the telephone lines. Before, when the government was in charge of telecommunication, nothing worked in Nigeria. But when they privatize and give to individuals, see what has happened to our telecommunication something. We need to do the same thing with, not just privatize to people, but give to someone who is already successful, someone who is already proved, is met that no, he is a successful person, not just to give to your relatives and to privatize. No, we need to empower those 100 Dangotes and one of them or two of them or three of them to be in charge of electricity.
Thank you, Dr. Adelaja. This same Dangote that you are mentioning, even you said that Obasanjo was part of the people who pushed him to where he is, right? And if you look at Dangote, he has enjoyed so much in the present government, the past government, and every other government. I mean, he got a sort of loan from his uncle where he used to start his business, and it wasn't just, we're not talking just 1 millionaire, we're talking of a whole lot more. So what about those who do not have this opportunity to be in bed with government, to enjoy certain rebates, certain incentives from government? How will the government be able, or how can they also be able to create wealth, create jobs for themselves and the
For the people who are already, you see, Nigerians are some of the most enthusiastic, some of the most entrepreneurial, and some of the most enterprising group of people you ever see in the world. Some of them are not even waiting for government. Most of them are already doing one thing or the other. Like I said, if the people who are already producing little by little, even the akara or whatever they are producing, or gari or whatever they are doing, people like that, if we could just encourage them to see the potential outside the shores of Nigeria, if we could just encourage them to work for export, they themselves will have so much foreign money coming in that they will be able to employ more people. They'll be able to expand their own businesses. Yes, we thank God for what God is using the government to do, but the government might not be able to give money to everyone, but they could encourage them to see where the market is, where the future is, where the promising income is for them, which is export. Right now, if I were in the government, I would be talking about exportation every day. And I will be encouraging them, teaching the whole country how to export. If we begin to just export what we have, we will make Nigeria an Eldorado.
Adelaja, now we're due for a break, but before we go on the break, I would like you to quickly look at this question I want to ask. And it is coming from one of the books where you have written, and you talked about Nigeria and the leadership question. Now, I'm not trying to reframe the topic or the title of your book, but I'm trying to ask a question. Let's talk about Africa and the leadership question. You talked and you spoke extensively about how democracy has not really brought Nigeria to where it ought to be, or brought, let me use the word Africa, to where it ought to be, and how we should look beyond leadership and also focus on the followership, and how it is just the way the leader has a responsibility, so does the follower has a responsibility to contribute his own quota to building a society that is acceptable to all and sundry. You traveled as well. So if we look at this within the continent of Africa, where do you think we are lacking in this when it comes to the followership and our responsibility in building the continent that we all deserve?
Do you want me to answer now, or you want us to go on a break?
Answer now.
Okay. Now, that book, Nigeria and the Leadership Question, is to debunk the popular concept that all Nigeria, even me, when I was small, since I was small, I've been hearing about that. The only problem in Nigeria is leadership. But we have overemphasized that. Yes, we have problem with our leaders, but where are our leaders coming from? Our leaders are coming from within us. We produce, the nation produce the leaders. Where are they coming from? They are coming from among us. If we will know that, no, the problem is not just with the leaders are a reflection of who we are. We need to improve our mentality, our value system. The biggest problem of Nigeria is not leadership. The biggest problem of Nigeria is the faulty value system of our people, of all of us. Why is it that for 65 years, new leaders are coming, new old leaders are going, new ones are coming, we still have the same problem? It's because we are coming from the same place. We are coming from a place of lack of values. It is values that is our biggest problem. And we need to form a mechanism, a whole system of creating values in ourselves, from childhood, from the family, to schools, to television, to media, to religious houses. We need to form a system of instilling the right values of Nigeria. We don't even have values, because we don't even know what values are. Most pastors that I've spoken to, they don't even know what you are talking about when you talk about values and virtues. But you see, only strong people build strong nations. Only virtuous people build a great country. We need to, first of all, make ourselves virtuous. We need to come together and say, what are the values that develop nations? They are specific values that develop nations. If we know those 10 or 20 values that make nations to become developed, that is all we need. Nations, every nation that develops, you can trace the values, and I have them. I have a whole book on that. The values that can make Nigeria become great. It's in one of those books that you spoke about, Nigeria and the leadership question. Let's make a list of those values. Let's inculcate those values in all of us. By the time we begin to behave and live in accordance to those values, you will discover that the leadership question will just fall up. It will just disappear by itself, because we will all be virtuous people. And once you have virtuous people, the people who will be coming to leadership are already virtuous from wherever they are coming from. So you already have virtuous people everywhere. And that is what guarantees great nations. It is the lack of values and virtues that have brought Nigeria to where we are right now. And there is no way we could get out of this problem without addressing that problem. And that is our biggest challenge. It is not the government that is going to vandalize the electricity that the government itself built, or the wire pipeline that they put there, or something. It is we Nigerian people are the ones going to destroy the work that even the government is trying to do. Why? Because we don't have values and virtues. In the Yoruba ethos, when I was growing up, they used to talk about omoluabi. You know, that is the highest kind of respect anybody could have. If they could call you Omoluabi, it means that you are a virtuous person. That attitude of Omoluabi, or whatever you could call it, the ability to be able to live a life of integrity and virtuous life by every citizen. We need to take it as a national assignment. This is what Thomas Sankara did in Burkina Faso. He even changed the name of the country from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, the land of virtuous people. We need to make ourselves virtuous first before we could begin to talk about leadership that is wrong. No, the foundation of our problem is lack of values.
Thank you so much. Now, the country where you are, or the continent of the country where you are in Europe, their work systems, their legal systems, their political systems, they're all built on values. Irrespective of your religious leanings, irrespective of your religious affiliation, they are all built on values. But when you come to Africa, we cannot, even in those clans, you cannot take away leadership from the prosperous level or prosperous states and the level of development that is available in those countries. If you remove leadership from the equation, the leaders or the followers or the citizens of the country will become blind, and everyone will do whatever they please. I know scripturally you know that reference. But the thing is this: Africans copy their leaders. Most Africans who are the head of society now, they are aspiring to be politicians so they can steal away the money because they've seen their leaders do the same. And it's as if, yes, we have values, but the values, or which will be a reflective of the law that we currently operate, is only applying to the people or to the poor man or to the man at the head of society. It looks like the leaders are exempted from working in that virtuous or that value system. How can we align this together so that both the leader and the led are governed by the same principle?
Very good. You see that the people that are being led today will be leaders tomorrow. The ones that are trying to copy somebody today will be in that position tomorrow. So they are all coming from down. They are all coming from down. So it is not up, down. It is from down, up. That is the progression of life. So if we don't set up a system that will begin to deal with the populace, and from down up, things will never change on top. It's not the opposite. The way we've been looking at it in Nigeria is that it's the opposite. It must come from down from up to down. No, it must come from down to up. Because in Europe now, where I live, you cannot, nobody, I don't think there is any one of you that can name 10 presidents in Europe. They are not necessary. They are not needed. We have them. We have prime ministers. We have presidents, but nobody knows them. Even in their own country, nobody knows who is the prime minister. Why? Because it doesn't matter. Anybody could become prime minister because they are all bringing the same virtues. They are already virtuous people from downstairs. So you can change them every month and you will put another person, it will still be the same virtuous person you have. It doesn't matter what is the name of the leader. because the grassroots that is producing those people, it is producing only virtuous people. So anybody you pick will become the leader. Nobody needs to know their names. So the thing I think the government needs to do regarding this is to pay attention to, first of all, the terminology. What are those values that develop countries? Now, you say we have values, but those values is only for those people at the end of the table. No, we don't have them. If we have them, the values you have are the ones you live by. The values you don't live by, you don't have them. It's just, you just talk about them. So what I think we have to do is, values are always developed in there are 4 ways to develop a value in a nation. First is family. We need to form a system whereby in every family, like we know national anthem now, everybody needs to know 10 values that every child, every parent must live by. That same value, those same values, when they go to school, in the school system, the same values must be inculcated into every child and teachers. Those same values must be in the entertainment industry. So whenever we are watching television, it's like what we have now in entertainment in Nigeria is just like jungle. Everybody, what comes to the head of any producer is what he just puts there. But in an organized society, you need to give them some rules that any film they do must always promote these values. Like in America, for example, when you look at Hollywood, anything they do is always talking about American dream. You know, somebody struggled before, and now thanks to America and the opportunities, he has become successful. The same thing in China. If you go to China, they are not just doing anything. It's not just chaotic. Anybody do anything? No, they have rules that they go. In families, we must follow the same value system. In churches also, churches must be able to, we must work with pastors. Don't just leave pastors and churches to do anything they want. Like in the jungle. That's the problem with our society. We are not organized. So if the government must help us to bring about this value system, it's just in organization. The government must be able to organize the society. You come to Europe or America, you will see that it's very organized. Nothing is by accident. You cannot just do anything anyhow. But Africa, our biggest problem is that we are disorganized. Nobody is monitoring. Nobody is organizing the society. So we need to organize our society around certain values so that in schools, in families, in media, in entertainment, in religious institutions, everybody is hearing the same thing. By the time you keep on hearing the same thing from your childhood to adulthood, and everybody is talking about it, it will even become a shame for you if you are not living by those virtues. That is what has happened in Europe. In Europe, people don't go to church, but they all live by the same values. Why? Because everywhere you go, everybody is talking about that. There are a few people who don't live by them, but the whole society is against them. So if we are able to create a society of virtuous people, if there is one leader that will not live by those tenets, the whole society will even condemn. They will not even vote him. And if he gets there by accident, the society that say, this is against everything we all believe, they will stone him to death. This is what has happened in developed countries. Until we have that, and if we talk about leadership, that everything follows leadership, yes, this is our leadership, politicians, they must help us to organize our country based on some certain values and virtues. That is the best thing they could do for us. It's the economic. When you hear about our president or minister, they're only talking, we build this road, we build this road. But if you don't build people, we are building roads without building people. We need to learn how to build virtuous people. That is the thing where we're a major area where we're lacking right now.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Sunday Adelaja. Now, we are not done with the conversation yet. We're going to break, so please do stay with us online. By the time we return from this break, we take our conversation to the next level. It's Just Africa, and we are reaching you live from our studios at SOUQ News TV in Lagos. We're going to break. We'll be back in a moment. Do stay with us.
Wole Soyinka. Born Akiwande Oluwole Babatunde Soyinka on July 13, 1934, in Abeokuta, Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, stands as one of Africa's most celebrated literary figures and a global icon of resistance against oppression. His life and works reflect an unwavering commitment to justice, culture, and the transformative power of art. Soyinka was born into a Yoruba family in colonial Nigeria, an environment that exposed him to both traditional African culture and Western education. His father, Samuel Ayodele Soyinka, was a school headmaster, while his mother, Grace Eniola Soyinka, was a devoted Anglican. This blend of indigenous and colonial influences deeply shaped Soyinka's world. Soyinka attended Government College Ibadan and later proceeded to the University College Ibadan, where he studied English and literature. Soyinka completed his education at the University of Leeds in England, earning a degree in English and later a doctorate degree. In the late 1950s, Soyinka began working as a dramaturgist at the Royal Court Theatre in London. However, his passion for storytelling and cultural preservation drew him back to Nigeria, where he founded two theatre groups known as the 1960 Masque and the Orisun Theatre Company. Soyinka's works, often a fusion of Western dramatic techniques and African themes, address universal issues of justice, freedom, and human dignity. His early play, titled A Dance of the Forest, which was introduced in 1960, written to celebrate Nigeria's independence, critically examined the nation's socio-political trajectory, setting the tone for his career as both artist and activist. Soyinka's activism became more visible during Nigeria's post-independence years. In 1967, during the Nigerian Civil War, he called for a ceasefire between federal forces and Biafran separatists. This led to his arrest by the military government, and he spent 22 months in prison, where he wrote a short drama titled The Man Died, Prison Notes, a harrowing account of his imprisonment and a profound critique of authoritarianism. Soyinka has authored more than 20 works, including plays, novels, poetry, and essays. In 1986, Soyinka became the first African to win the Nobel Prize of Literature, an achievement that brought global recognition to African literature. Soyinka remained an outspoken critic of oppressive regimes, often at great personal risk. His activism extended beyond Nigeria, addressing global issues of injustice and human rights. During periods of military rule in Nigeria, he went into exile, continuing to write and speak against tyranny. Today, Soyinka is celebrated not only as a literary giant, but also as a symbol of resilience and moral courage.
Known as the father of African literature, Chinua Achebe was born on the 16th of November 1930 in Ogidi, now Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. He was born to Isaiah Okafor Achebe, a teacher and an evangelist, and Janet Anenichi Ilobunam, a vegetable farmer. Achebe has reshaped the global understanding of African identity through the power of storytelling. Raised during the twilight of colonial rule, Achebe's education was steeped in both Igbo tradition and the Western values of post-colonial Christianity. As a student at the University of Ibadan, he became fiercely critical of how Africa was portrayed in Western literature. Achebe believed that Western literature often painted Africa as a dark and primitive continent, but he sought to tell the African people's lens. In 1958, Achebe's groundbreaking novel Things Fall Apart shattered colonial narratives through the tragic story of Okonkwo, an Igbo warrior. Achebe illuminated the complexities of African culture and the devastating effects of European colonization. Things Fall Apart became more than just a novel. It became a symbol of African resistance against the oppressive narratives of colonialism. Achebe was not just a writer, he was a passionate advocate for African self-determination, and his political activism made him a critical voice in the post-colonial era. Even after a life marked by personal and political struggles, including a car accident that left him partially paralyzed, Achebe continued to inspire. He taught at Bard College and later Brown University, where his influence reached new generations of writers and thinkers. He was married to Christiana Chinua, and they had 4 children.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on today's conversation in Just Africa. We've been speaking with Dr. Sunday Adelaja, a multifaceted thinker and a leader with a global perspective. He's a native of Nigeria, but he is the founder and senior pastor of the Embassy of God Church in Kyiv, Ukraine. And we've been talking about rethinking reforms in Nigeria, or not just in Nigeria, in Africa, where we should go beyond the political cycle and be thinking of creative, innovative ideas and ways to occasion development within the continent of Africa. Welcome back once again, Dr. Sunday Adelaja. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adelaja. Now, if you look at South Africa's GDP in 2024, he had about $400.3 billion. Also, Nigeria had about $187.8 billion. And I know recently President Chinua came out to say that we have made a whole lot of money from exports that we do not need to borrow. So my question now is, how can we ensure that reforms not just boost GDP, but also tackle and reduce inequality? Because a lot of people say that, yes, we are making so much money, but it's not trickling down to the average man. So how can we balance GDP growth and inequality?
You know, another thing that we have not spoken about enough in Nigeria is the fact that for the first time in the history of Nigeria, before, it used to be the federal government that used to take 50%. Sometimes, before, it used to even be more than 50%. Sometimes it used to be 60, then it reduced to 55, then 50-something. But for the first time in the history of Nigeria, federal government is made himself to be taking less than state government and local government. So this president we have, thank God for him, because he's a believer in local government empowerment. So he's now made it so that federal government is now taking less than 50% of our whole total money that comes to Nigeria. And most of that he gives to the states and the local government. Now, but our society has not developed the mentality of demanding from local government. Like in the West, all development, nobody talks about federal government. It's all in the local government. It is local government, provinces, wards that determine the development. They are the ones that are closer to people. So until we begin to set up a system, or maybe civil societies that will begin to demand from every local government to be accountable to every money that comes to them, then we will just be saying that only a few people are getting rich and we will not know where their money is coming from. But that money is actually meant for ordinary people in the local government. Also in the state, we see the way our state governors are living like emperors because most money is coming to them. So now we need to have a system whereby the media and civil societies will begin to demand from the state, how many people have you empowered? Federal government cannot do that. Even though federal government can complement. Like now, recently I read just a few days ago that the federal government has given 71 million people power empowerment for the financial support. 71 million people. So that's a lot. But what are the state government and local government doing? If the local government and state government will do the same thing to their own communities, poverty will be a thing of the past.
Thank you very much, local government. One of the biggest reforms of this current administration was the local government autonomy, whereby direct funds comes from the federal government straight to the local government so that the grassroots will be felt. The change from the grassroots would start. But also this same year, we got reports that this has not actually been effected. So what are the impediments that is negating this flow, this direct flow of funds from this federal government into the local government? Because if we want the local government to be accountable, first, funds have to get to them directly. And how can we also ensure transparency in the local government?
Oh, very good question. The impediments, number one impediment are the governors. You see, the governors are used to the fact that the local government funds normally go through governors. So, but they are used to that. And then they would decide what part to give to the chicken change to give to local government, and they will just take care of the chairman, that's all. Nothing is being done to the community. So now, even it got so bad that when this government wanted to do what you are saying now, transfer money directly to the local government, the governors, all the governors, gathered together and took federal government to Supreme Court that they shouldn't do that. You see, this is where our problem is. Even the president is saying, let's give them the money. But I know the reason why the governors don't want to do that. Because the governors know that our best men are not the ones in the local government. The local government heads are people that are just selected by the same governors. They are not the best of men. Actually, we are looking for the best leaders. They must be in the local government to be accountable for the money, to be responsible, to love people, to care for people, to have passion for people. Those are the kind of people we need in local government councils. But if we don't have them, if we just put people there to cover the ground, then that is why we don't want to give them money, because we know they will even do worse than the governors. So now we need to start a grassroots work of putting responsible individuals in local government. In fact, people who have passion want to go to federal government. Right now, it is time that everybody begin to work that we will have the best of our men to be in local government councils, like councillors, and to be local government chairmen. If we will have the best of us there, and the money will go to them directly, then we will see those areas being developed. I saw some areas in Lagos that they have some good local governments. You would think you are in some you think you are in Europe in some areas where the local governments have been the local governments are having responsible men, honorable men. They've been able to develop their local governments. We could do that all over the country, and that is what we call development.
Dr. Adelaja, now in Europe, so let's make some comparative analysis. In Europe, the way and manner the systems are built, the local government, the state government, and the central government, and the regional government seem to have some form of connection, that when these convergence of institutions come together, they tackle issues that trickles down from the global, from the multilateral level, straight to the domestic and to the grassroots level. This actually also governs the way they build infrastructure. From Europe, it's like there's a train, the trains are connected around Europe, and it's easy to do business. It has a very serious impact in the economic development as a continent in Europe. But that's quite lacking in Africa. What is the systemic cause of this, and how can we mitigate it?
Right. You know, when you are talking right now, I'm thinking of the country where I live here in Europe. Can you imagine that? Let's say you have a local government. I'm from this local government. The local government has, let's say, 10 towns, 100 villages, and maybe it has also 20 huts. The money that is given to the local government, every village, every town, every hamlet, all of them, they have their own budget, and they have have their own projection of money they need. That money must be distributed every village. Even if there are only 2 people living in that village, that part of that budget must go to that village. Every local, every town, every little something, for what? For road, for schools, for taking care of older citizens, for senior citizens, for taking care of children, for taking care of women, for taking care of emergencies, electricity, and everything. So that money that we are talking about that comes in the budget of the federal government goes to the state government, then goes to the local government, but it doesn't stay in the local government first. Every town must feel it. If a town doesn't get its own due, that is the end of the political career of whoever is responsible. Can you imagine that we could have that in Nigeria? Every town is receiving monthly support. Every village is receiving their own dues. And let somebody try and not do what they're supposed to do. One application is enough. So this is what is a systemic problem we have. In Nigeria, for me, I think it's like we don't even have local governments existing at all, even though they are there. It's like there's even no connection between local government and every village in that local government, every town in that local government, every school in that local government. If we could have that going on, then we will say we have government. What we have right now in the federal government, that is just camouflage. The real government should be when there is connection between the local government authorities and every village in that local government. Then we will say, at last, Nigeria is reaching every Nigerian.
Thank you so much. Now, you also wrote a book about building systems. And I think the question you just attended to actually aligns with building systems. We seem not to be private individuals, private organizations in Africa, in Nigeria, seem to be more adept, more skillful in building systems that are workable, functional, and productive. We could see results of that. But continentally, it's absent. What could be the cause of that? Why are we not tracing our system? Why are we not fixing this problem continentally?
I think we need to have civil societies and non-government organizations that will write proposals to state governments, to federal governments, and to local government on how to make our system effective. They need to do trainings and seminars where they will bring politicians to, chairmen, local government chairmen all over the country, and train them how to build systems. They just don't know. They have not been trained. Most people who go to politics, they go to politics because that they feel that's where they belong, but they must be trained in system building so that they will build a system that will reach out to every citizen in every local government, in every ward. If we could build a system like that and be able to build a system of the financial distribution, budget distribution, and we'll be able to train them on how it works, and also the system of accountability. If we're able to do that for our people, but we need the citizens to stand. We need somebody that has passion, that will be able to say, okay, my own area is doing seminars for government officials, for local government people. But even people who are doing seminars and training, they are doing it federal government only. No, we need them to come down to the local level and be training the politicians, the councillors, so that they will know how to build a system that will affect every citizen.
All right, thank you, Dr. Adelaja. Now, many African countries still depend heavily on raw export and public spending. We seem to always prefer getting aids, grants, loans from Western organizations and all that. First question, why do you think this is so? Is this a leadership problem? Is this a mentality problem? And how can reform shift Africa from dependency to productivity in agriculture, manufacturing, and digital innovation?
Frankly speaking, when we talk about dependency and looking for funds and support from countries all over the world, in Africa, that is a bigger problem than Nigeria. The support that Nigeria receives from international organizations, apart from loans, so if we don't count loans, just the support, the grants, is less than 1% of our GDP. It doesn't matter. Even now, that Trump has come and has, cancel U.S. aid money that is coming to Nigeria. Nigeria has been able to come up with an alternative system, to be able to supply that money ourselves, even without getting international aid again. So, and that's also, again, thanks to the Minister of Health, Professor Pate, that's been able to set up that system. But I think one of the reasons why we seem to be like beggars, we're always in need of something, is because we don't have a welfare system. We need to create a welfare system whereby everybody that is not working, we have some kind of support from the government. Everyone that is lost his job, that's just a graduate, we need to have a social welfare system, which is the problem why it seems like our people are beggars. Also, we need to have insurance system whereby, thank God that now they have passed the insurance bill, and that's a big one. Because we need to put, right now, only about 20% of Nigerians are on insurance, health insurance. We need to put at least 80% of Nigerians on health insurance. This government has tried, because in 2 years, we went from 16% to 20% of Nigerians on health insurance. But can you imagine when the country is 80% on health insurance? We don't need to beg again, because why are people begging? They got sick, their daughter got sick, their child got sick, their husband gets sick. But if you have insurance, you have free medical service and provision all the time immediately. But apart from insurance, we need social welfare systems. And that is one thing that this government has to look into.
Thank you very much. Still talking about dependency. How can we make use of regional integration? We have the African Continental Free Trade Area, which should open up a whole lot for Africans to be able to trade amongst themselves. But it seems that since the establishment, we've not really tapped even up to 50% of this particular regional integration. Why do you think this is so, and how can we begin to make use of this African Continental Free Trade Zone?
We have not tapped into 1%, not just 50%, 1%. We have not tapped into it. That is also because Nigeria was one of the latecomers in signing that document. Most other countries, Nigeria is one of the last 5 countries to sign it. We were not in a hurry for one reason or the other, but thank God, eventually Mohamed Buhari signed it after dragging his feet for a long time. But, what we need to do is to make a list of our strengths, where we have comparative advantage. What do we produce in Nigeria? Like Aba, for example, the city of Aba. For example, if I were the government, I will make sure that they have export commission that is working just with Aba and Onitsha. So instead of Onitsha and Aba people to be crowding themselves in that market there, we will set up an advanced Western, standard level of packaging for them. Packaging and pricing and exportation. And be able to, from there, they don't need to bring it to Lagos or they don't need to bring it to Abuja. From there, we should have a platform right there in their town where they are export centers, where they just export all the things that they are producing. Most of the people who are right now in the western part of Nigeria, for example, is thanks to the fact that there was an exportation board, like that was created by Awolowo. And most of the farmers, even though they were illiterate, but they were producing and planting cocoa. And thanks to that cocoa, they were able to educate their children. The same thing we could do today. Anybody that is producing anything, we should make a list of our comparative advantage in regions. So what region produces what? And let us create a platform whereby from their region, they will, even the state government should be, it is the state government that are supposed to be doing this. The federal government cannot handle everything, but every state is supposed to be an exporting state. Empower your people and begin to, identify what your state produces better than others, and begin to export and to all these African countries. We can be the United States of Nigeria, supplying most of the goods that African continent needs. Yeah, and it will be cheaper now. Now that our money is so cheap, they will buy from us rather than buying from European or American continents, because our things will be cheaper. So this is what we need for us to really gain from that intercontinental trade agreement.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, we're not leaving this part of the conversation where we need to use the the African Continental Free Trade Agreement as an economic tool, instrument to, spur up development continental-wise. But let's talk briefly about the people before we move to rounding up the program. You wrote a book, and you said something about you don't need money to be rich, or that we don't need money to be rich. Okay, maybe you're going to say it the way exactly you put it in the book so that everyone can hear. But the thing is, why I don't think I need money to be rich. Most Africans will look at you with the other eye, say, could you please explain it very well? How do you mean I don't need money to be rich?
Very good. Good point. So the point of the book is that money won't make you rich. Most people who think about having money, they are thinking about being rich. And they are thinking if they have money, their problems will be solved. But a lot of people, it is money that has also destroyed them. It is money that has killed them. Why? Because they are trying to have money without being rich inside. What I mean by money won't make you rich is that become rich in your mind. Become rich, first of all, in knowledge. Become rich in know how money works so that it doesn't destroy you. Learn, first of all, how to become the master of money so that you don't become a slave to money. If you have money without preparation for it, that money could destroy you. So it is values. You have to be rich in values. You have to be rich in virtues. You have to be rich in knowledge. You have to know the loss of money before you attain money. Because if you attain money without being rich, money is a good slave, but a bad master. If you are not careful, money will become your master. It will be directing you. It will be playing you like it's playing football. It will just be kicking you up and down until you destroy yourself. But if you learn the rules and formulas of money, first of all, you will be able to master it. It's a good slave, but then you have to be able to be a good master of it. Otherwise, money could be destructive as well. And also, that's one point, that you become rich first inside because you try to be rich outside. The second point is that money, being rich is inferior to being wealthy. What is better for you to do is to, first of all, try to be wealthy. Look for wealth instead of for money. Money is only an exchange. But when you are wealthy, it means you have skills. So even if you don't have money right now, the skills that you have developed, the professionalism that you have, the expertise that you can bring to the table, those expertise, they are your wealth. They will always produce for you anytime. Money will always come your way anytime. But expertise, if you don't have them, money will be coming to your hand and it will be disappearing. But when you have skills, expertise, you are always needed. You are always valuable in the market. And money will always run after you instead of you running after money.
We're not done. In a very short while, we're going to round up with the program, but we need to quickly take a break for a minute. I'll be back in a moment. Please do stay with us.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive services encompass research, consultancy, capacity building, training, and education programs, as well as publishing and disseminating development-related knowledge. Our faculty consists of experts and researchers with extensive experience in policy formulation, implementation techniques, and monitoring and evaluation. Our methodology involves talks, individual and group exercises, games, video screenings, and discussion seminar sessions in a cozy atmosphere, making learning enjoyable for our participants. For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website at www.adstudycenter.com to learn more about our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Welcome back, many thanks for staying with us. We still have Dr. Sunday Adelaja with us. And the last question you answered, it's about your book, Money Won't Make You Rich. And whilst we were on that break, I was asking some of the production crew around here, like you're telling that to a Nigerian, you're telling that to the current African, money won't make you rich. And Dr. Sunday, the average Nigerian, the African will look like, oh, I think Dr. Sunday, with current realities, well, maybe I should allow my colleague Olumide to ask his question from that perspective.
All right, so now, from this, similar to what he was asking, now let's look at the private sector. Now, in what ways, especially the private sector, talking about the SMEs and startup, how can they become the drivers of reforms and productivity?
Well, first of all, I must say, concerning the statement that I made that money won't make you rich. Okay, let me give you a few examples. Have you ever heard of instances in Nigeria whereby young people attracted their girlfriends or their colleagues and then killed them for money ratios? I think things like that are popular, widespread in Nigeria right now. You know why? Because they think that money is what makes them rich. So have you ever heard of young men starting Yahoo clubs, and going online to scam Westerners, and later on they are looking for them all over the world, they're exporting them to have to be prosecuted? Have you ever heard of Hush Puppy? Those are people who believe that money is what makes them rich. When, as long as that mentality that money is what makes you rich is reigning in our society will be filled with killings. It will be filled with scammers. I had something they call one chance or something, one chance, and all those evil, all those destructive tendencies will be prevalent in our society because our focus is on the wrong thing. We are focusing on money as if it is money that makes people rich. No, it is skills that is developed. Now, let me come now to the SME, the small businesses. The key to growing small businesses and in any society, Nigeria included, and also the key to raising up middle class is through skill development. If we should stop giving people certificates, our universities and technical colleges and polytechnics should stop just raising up people to give them that they have finished degree, they got a degree. Degree doesn't matter. In the West, people are not looking for degree anymore. They are looking for skills. What do you know to do? For example, the last time I came to Nigeria, I discovered that Our people don't know how to do almost anything. And people who are laying our tiles, they are coming from Togo. People who are doing the carpentry for us, the electricity, plumber, they are coming from Ghana, from Benin Republic, and things like this. If we will let our people know that it is skills that make them rich, not money, skills, then we will have a healthy society, a society with right-thinking people who will not conceive the evil of trying to sacrifice or kill their mother or their father or brother or somebody to make money because they think money is supreme. But really, skills is supreme. That's the point I was trying to make.
All right, thank you very much. So talking about skills, how do we incorporate this into the educational system? Should it be some form of extracurricular activities, or should it be inculcated directly into our curriculum so that as you are studying mathematics, as you're studying English, business studies, you're also studying a particular skill? I mean, if you remember, way back in secondary school, intro technology was, for me, it was carpentry. But yes, if we could also incorporate that into the system, whereby you learn, each student is opportunity to learn one skill, that would also help. How do we integrate this?
You got it right, sir. That is one of the things we have missed in our school system. But now I heard personally the Minister of Education talking about this, that vocational studies have to be returned to our secondary schools. Just like in the West, most countries, when you are studying your mathematics, English, chemistry, you must also have vocational studies where you are learning some skills, but not just carpentry or mechanic or something, but I mean, skills like plumbing, fixing electricity in your house, and everything that's of human endeavor, including IT as well. All skills. You must be able to have some life, building skills. So that is one. But also another tragedy that we have in our country is that everybody wants to go to university. Really, it's not sustainable. In most countries of the world, not most of the population don't go to university. What do they go to? They go to vocational schools. After secondary school, they go to a school that will give them vocation, that will give them skills. And it is that skill that they will develop, then they will begin to do courses and diploma. Then they become even heads of the industries. They become ministers. They become government officials. So I think that Nigeria needs to return to a place whereby technical colleges are more popular than universities. If we are going to be able to change our direction in that way and be able to make technical colleges more popular than universities, we will breed a nation of skillful people.
All right. Lastly, I'd like to ask this before we go. One of the sectors I also believe there should be reform is banking and finance. Now, yes, the CBN has maintained a very stable MPC. The interest rate also has also been stable, but some see it more favorably for foreign investors than local investors. Also, if you look at the capital market, it's the insurance company, the insurance have, they've made some certain gains. We have Dangote also leading, GTCO and the rest of them. But there is still some form of deficit in literacy. Talking about the capital market, I'm talking about the SMEs. How well are they aware? How can we capture a whole lot of people into the capital market so that they can, invest long term? That way also we would build some form of productivity. So how can, is this a thing that should rest solely on the government or the private sector? How do we bring in others? Not just because when you talk about capital market, a whole lot of people believe it's for the elite, but it's basically not for the elite, it's for everybody.
Very brilliant idea and good question. You see, it is actually, this responsibility should rest with the corporate world, with the corporate society, the businesses. For example, I will tell you something. In Poland, in the country of Poland, when they enacted the law, like the bill that we just got enacted in Nigeria on insurance, and they made insurance compulsory for the whole population, the insurance companies, they hired 98% more workers to just go and educate the society. Just go and educate the society, and you'll be getting percentage from what you are making. So it is what the corporate industries are supposed to do. The financial industry, the banking industry, they are supposed to go everywhere, village to village, and say there is a new law that this, that now you can do bonds, you can invest in bonds, you can invest in treasuries, you can buy shares, you can buy stocks, all those things. It is the business world, because right now, what Nigeria is doing is that the corporate world, banks and insurance people, we are relying on state governors, state government contracts, is because we are relying on corrupt schemes to make money. And because money is coming from government contracts, governors are bringing money, politicians are bringing money, that's why they don't see any need in looking for ordinary people and popularizing their products among them. But by the time the government people, refuse, and we stop the government corruption, and the government people are no more the sources of financing of banks and corporate institutions, the corporate institutions will be forced to go into ordinary people, ordinary villages, and they will be going to look for money and investments and selling their products, their stocks, their bonds, their shares and everything like that there. That is when the wealth of the society, of the country, will be spread also to ordinary people. But those corporate people, they are looking for cheap and easy money. They are not looking to work hard and to empower ordinary citizens. They are just looking to get their company growing through the money of the politicians. And that is one major challenge. We need to challenge the corporate world to go and become localized. Just like we are challenging the local governments, if they have money to go around, we must also challenge the banks that they must also go into the local grassroots and empower ordinary farmers, ordinary people as well.
Okay. Now, Dr. Sunday Adelaja, just your last words to the African youth and probably to African governments on what they should do for the new generation as we move towards, or we should aspire towards, more industrialized society in our continent. If you can do that in 2 minutes.
Yes, I want to encourage our government to see it as an insult that we are a country where only 60% people know how to read and write. And that we're a country that we have to import people from Benin Republic, from Togo, to be able to do elementary stuff for us. That we should focus on human capital development and begin to give not just education to our people, but skills. And also to the youth, I want to tell them that stop believing in lies. Money won't make you rich. Stop looking for money. Look for self-fulfillment. Look for skills. Develop yourself. Get the wealth of knowledge and skills, and then money will follow you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunday Adelaja. Dr. Sunday Adelaja is a multifaceted thinker and a leader with a global perspective. A native of Nigeria, he is the founder and senior pastor of the Embassy of God Church in Kyiv, Ukraine, which he grew into one of Europe's largest evangelical churches. As a prolific author of over 400 books, a philosopher and a motivational speaker, Dr. Adelaja has a unique background and a master's degree from the Belarusian State University. He has spoken on transformation and leadership at various international platforms, including United Nations and a national parliament. His work and writings often focus on personal empowerment, leadership development, and societal transformation, making him a compelling voice to be reckoned with on the continent and in the globe. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Sunday Adelaja. It's been a fantastic moment having this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very much welcome. That was a delightful conversation.
Very well.
Very robust one on
Yes,
that matter.
it is. It was quite interesting. I mean, and I like the angle where he came from, looking at reforms and productivity, human capital development.
Exactly.
I think that is one area we have been missing and we need to get right.